Hello, welcome to my next series of Angular 4 course, and in this video we'll discuss about Angular 4 directives. Till now we have seen how we can install an Angular application and how we develop a simple component, because Angular development is done around components mainly. Whatever we see in the view is a component, and in the last session we learned how we can what are the different parts of a component. Like we have selector, we have template, we learned about decorators. So each component class is associated with a decorator called component decorator, and there are different types of decorator as well. So what are directives? So any one of you who have already worked on Angular JS 1.x already have an idea of a directive. So now we'll see the concept of directive in Angular 4. Angular 2 or 4, it's almost same. So here directive is slightly different than the directive which you perceive in Angular JS. It's slightly different. It's not exactly the same directives that we have been doing in or working upon in Angular 1. So directive, in one simple way, if I define directive, not elaborating on it much, we can simply say that directive actually attach behavior to elements and DOM. How DOM would be displayed, how DOM would be rendered, the document object model would be rendered. So that is determined by a directive, just like we had in Angular JS 1.x. So when speaking about Angular 2 or Angular 4, directives can be categorized into three types. So what are those three types? So I'll just write it down here. I'm not prepared any slide for that. I'll simply write it down. So first type of directive is components. Okay, components directive, which we have already been working upon. The examples that I've shown you, it's an example of components directive. So it is basically a directive with a template. Okay. Next category of directive is your structural directive. Structural directives. Okay. Structural directives. And third type of directive is attribute directives. Okay. So these are the three types of directives. We have already seen components directives, where we have a component decorator, we have in the metadata we have got selector, we define a custom selector just like we had over here. So this is one example of so component is one kind of directive, we can say. Selector, template URL, style URLs, and there are a few more metadata over here which we have not used, like animation is also there. Okay. So let's start with directive. So component directive we have already seen. So now let's start with the other directive, structural directive and attribute directive. So let me come here and create or modify the existing file. This is the same file I am using, which we had used in the previous session. Okay. So let me start with, say, one type of directive. So I'll start with attribute directive. Component we have already seen, so these two directive we'll be discussing. So let me start with attribute directive. So what is an attribute directive? So attribute directive is the directive which attaches behavior to elements, how the element will look like. So let us try out one very simple example. Say for example, I have got over here, say, a tag called h2. This is an h2 text. Okay, just keeping it very simple, just focusing on the concept. Okay, and let me start I have not yet started my server, so I'll go to command, I'll go to C. So it is there in trainings, Angular 2 and hello world. So I think this is the path we have. Let me check once. Trainings, Angular 2, hello world. Yeah, so we are on the correct path. Okay, then I will say ng serve. So we let the server start. Okay, so while the server starts up, so I'm coming back to the code base. So I've simply written this is an H2 text, so the text will display as it is. When the server starts, we can see that. Okay, so we will put some or apply some directive over here, and that directive will be a simple attribute directive that we discussed over here. So one attribute directive that we can discuss is called ng style. This is to give the apply style on the DOM element, right? And one more thing, whenever we are applying any properties or any such directive in Angular, we always enclose it within a square bracket. We write like this, ng style. So this represents the property. Okay, the server is started now. So we are ready to apply our directive. So let's open up the browser, the Chrome browser, or any browser that supports Angular 2 fully. Okay, localhost, and it runs on port 4200. So it is displaying this is an H2 text, and I don't see any style getting applied on it. Now we will apply the style as a directive, as I mentioned. So I'll go to this H2 tag and say within a square bracket. So whatever attributes, whatever properties you are applying, always use this square bracket in Angular 2 or 4. So I'll say ng style is equal to, say, some object name. So I'll give the object name my style. Okay, so this my style will be a variable which is of type object. So I'll come back to this TS file, and over here I need to define this my style over my style in this TS file. Okay, so let me define, either you can make it public or private. We'll talk more about this public and private accessors in detail in some other tutorial where we will be focusing mainly on these accessors. Okay, let me close this. Right, so here I'll define that, make it public, and my style is equal to, okay, I'll take an object, semicolon. So here you can give the key value pairs the name of the styles. Say I want to make color colon, say blue, text of the color should be blue, or you can give the color code. You can even give the color code also, or you can just write the name of the color. Okay, so yeah, one more thing, it is better to have this in a string, the property name also. This is the property name and this is the property value. So either you write the code, okay, and let us put one more style, say background color, say background color, I say yellow. for example. Save it. Now let's see what is the change that has taken place. So you see the change has taken place. The text color is blue and the background is yellow. So this we achieve by using the attribute directive, that is ng model. Okay, so if I come to template, so that is applied in the template. So this attribute directive affects the behavior of a DOM, how it will be rendered. So this is one of the attribute. So one quick example of this attribute directive was ng style. Other examples you can try out is hidden. So if you say hidden is equal to true, it will hide, it will not show. Okay, now coming to the next part, that is the structural directive. Okay, now what is an structural directive? This is a very interesting directive, because most of the time we would be using a structured directive, because for this other directive we already have a its own attribute in HTML, which will hide like display block, display none, visibility hidden, even style is equal to, we can give the style name. So these are very rarely used, but it's not that it's not used. Most of the time you'll find when you're working on a real-time project, you are using this structural directive. So when I talk about a structural directive, I'm talking about, say, if condition directive, switch case condition directive, okay, for directive, for loop directive. Okay, so let's start with the conditional directive, like if and switch case. So for if, you can use star ng. See, this star mark or asterisk is very important, don't forget that. Star ng if, camel case notation. So let us come over here. Let us write one more directive. Say this is div, I wrap it in a div, or let me write it as h3. I'll write this is h3 text with ng if directive, right? Okay, now what I'll do, I'll conditionally switch it on and off depending on a condition. So if I come over here and I take another, I define another variable, a boolean variable, say public, say show text, say it is a boolean, I will say is equal to true. Okay, so show text. So I'll just copy this, I'll come to this template, and over here in h3 I'll just write star ng if is equal to show text. So this is true, that means it will be visible. So let's see, this is h3 with ngf directive. So the moment I go over here and I make it false and just run it, say this is switched off. Okay, so this is an ng if directive, a conditional directive. Okay, so if I take an example, a quick example, if I just apply a button, say I put a button, okay, and inside the button I say I can give an event, just like we give in JavaScript on click is equal to, say, name of some handler, say handler, I'll say switch off, for example. Okay, so in Angular what I can do, just let me show you. Says this is a switch off button, or even you can make a toggle button. Okay, okay, so in Angular you don't need to write pure JavaScript, is recommended use Angular's event. So Angular event is written in parenthesis, and here it will be click. This means click. So this will be in the context of Angular if you give this event. So it can even read your Angular object. So this is the advantage. So this switch off I need to, this handler I need to define over here in this component. Okay, so public okay, so I'll write a condition if show text. Show text. Actually I have to write this dot show text. Always remember, when you do variables and classes and this object orientation concepts, then we'll discuss this in more detail. But whatever variable you have defined, always write this. This means that in the context of the class itself, the component itself. Okay, so show text. Show text. Okay, if it is true, so this dot show text equals not this dot, or I don't even have to check it. If I'm writing it in one single line, either you can write like this, or else you can write the full statement. You can use this. If it is true, make it false. If it is false, make it true. So switch on and off. Let me name it switch on and off. Switch on off button. Okay, now let's come here. So this switch on and off button, see, once I click it is switching on, once I click it is switching off. Okay, let me keep the button on top so that it doesn't jumps. So I'll just cut it and I'll paste it over here. Okay, so what it is doing, this button, on the click event of this button, I'm calling switch off method, and this switch off method is in its own component. So it will just toggle if this dot show text is equal to not this dot show text. So initially if it is false, it will become true. If it is true, it will become false. And this way we can achieve toggling effect. So you see how simple it is when we are using Angular 2. Just to achieve this thing in JavaScript, you have to write even more than what we are writing over here. Okay. So this is the example of ngIf, one of the structural directive. Now let us come to another structural directive, that is before going for switch case, let's go for switch. So it is just like a switch case in any programming language, right? So say for example I have got a div wrapper element. I'll quickly make one, and slash div, and within this div let me have this. Just one a simple example I am giving, it can be more than this. Okay, say for example I have got say h2. Say I write this is a blue text. Okay, slash h2. So I write this is a blue text. Okay, so if it is a blue text, I should give the, let me hard code the color. Okay, color, sorry, style is equal to, as we know, simple CSS, color colon say blue, or you can give the code also, not a problem. So this way what I do, I'll just copy paste this and create some more instances of this, say 3 instances to keep it simple, right? So let this be red, and I'll say this is a red text, and let this be say green, and I'll say this is a green text. Now if I render it right away, so you'll get all these 3, but any one will be visible depending on, so this is the use case that depending on a variable value, any one will be seen. So let that variable value, we keep one variable called say public, let this name text color is equal to, say by default I am taking say blue. Let me keep it all caps so that it is easy to compare. So blue. So over here I come to the template, and inside div, in the main wrapper, you have to write this switch. Okay, so as it is a directive, so I'll just take a square bracket, write it like this, ng switch in camel case. So ng switch, so I'll switch which statement of which variable I have to check. I have to check the variable text color. Okay, so here I'll write in each of the tag, if I write With switch I have to use with star, just like ngif. This asterisk don't follow this, don't forget this asterisk, because without this it will not work. ng switch case in camel notation. Okay, ng switch case equals say this. If I say ng switch case is equal to, say if the color is blue, then this is true, this blue will be seen. So I just copy paste this. So first I have to write switch I have to write as an attribute directive, and ng switch case is written as a structural directive. If you observe, all the attributes are wrapped in square bracket. Okay, so don't worry, slowly you'll get used to it if you are finding it hard to remember the syntax. So that is how it is in Angular 4 or 2. So this is red, and say this I make it as green, and we are done. Okay, so at the moment the value is blue, value of this text color is blue. So let's save it and check. Sorry, I haven't saved it. I save it now. Then you have to save this. Don't forget to save it, right? If you are using this Visual Studio Code, then you will see this icon. So as long as you see a circle with some number, that means it is not saved. So go to each file and save it. Now it's gone, now it is saved. Then only your change will take effect. So this is the blue text we are seeing. Okay, actually I should have written this blue. Okay, I think these are some different text I am seeing. Let me check once again. No, whole of it is switched off. So let's see, let's switch back, let's check. Okay, ng switch case is equal to, okay, one very important thing I want to tell you, I missed it out. Though the syntax is a bit odd, but you need to remember it. I have written within double quotes blue, but within double quote because it will take blue as a variable. Okay, so you have to include one single quote within double quote. Remember this. This is very, very important. Many times I keep missing it. So don't miss it out, because this will take blue as a variable name. So this is a string. So I have to put this. Okay. So single quote within double quote, because this way we can even check expression. So in ng switch case I can even check expression also. So to make it a string, you have to give a single quote within this double quote. Okay, so let me correct this. 2 times the double quote has come. Okay, now it should come. So we will see a blue text now. Okay, let's see if we have missed out something. Oh, by mistake I've deleted it both. I've deleted both, so that's why there was a syntax error. Let me check. Okay, actually due to this auto suggest thing we are having issue. So I'm trying to type one, so it is inserting one automatically. Okay, never mind. So Control S. So now we come over here. So see, this is a blue text. Now if I change the value of app component, say from blue to say red. Okay, so that means the value of this text color is red. So which one will be true? The second, the line number 10 will be true. Switch case, the value is red for this text color, so this will be visible. So if I come over here, so I see this. Okay, and same way if I say green. Okay, so if I save it and come, so this is a green text. Okay, so you can even implement a button just like I have done, and click of 3 buttons, say red color button, blue button, and green color button. You can just set the value of this text color, and automatically that is bound. So it will change. So you don't have to write so much code to change the color yourself. It will automatically reflect because binding is being done. Okay, so hope this is clear. So this was your switch case directive. So we saw this if switch case. Now let's see the last one, that is the for directive, ng for. So the syntax for this is ng for. Let me write it down, star ng for this one. Okay, now let's say for example we have taken, let us take one more variable over here, say players. I take a variable name called players and say this player is an array of objects. Okay, I take these players as an array of objects. So I'll just write name colon say Sachin and city, then next property will be city. Just to keep it simple, let us just take name and city. City say Mumbai. Okay, and then we copy paste this. So let us take only 3 players name. Okay, so this is say Kohli and city we take as say New Delhi. Third one let us take as say the name as Dhoni and city we take as, okay, and remove the last comma. Okay, so this is an array of object. Okay, now coming to this template, what I can do is I can make a ULLI tag, or you can use it anywhere. So let's use ULLI first. So UL and then li tag. So if I have to present 3 players, then I have to write 3 times li/li. But other way I can use this directive, this ng for, such that automatically it will render. It will bind to that array element, and as many number of records we have an array, as many number of times it will render. So I'll say asterisk ng for equals, okay, asterisk ng for equals, then write let player, or let's say let cricketer for the array name. The array name was players, right? And /li. Now let me explain you this. When I say let cricketer for players, so if you go to this, you see players is a variable which contains an array of objects. So I'm referring to that. So this one I am referring to that, and let cricketer means cricketer is a local variable will be created, and this cricketer will be, it will go in a loop, and every time, first time the value of cricketer will be the first item of that array players, that is name Sachin, city Mumbai. Second time, in the second time when it loops, the name will be Kohli and city will be New Delhi, because the second object will be referred, and so on. Okay, so here I'll write double curly bracket, which is for binding. We have already learned this in our previous session. So cricketer dot name, the property was name, first property, and then we give a hyphen, and here we will say cricketer, whatever is the variable name you can take. I have taken the variable name as cricketer, but this variable name will be the name which we have defined in our component. So here it will be cricketer dot city. Save it and let's see. Okay, some syntax error it seems. So cricketer, let's see, check the spelling. So what I will do is simply copy this, paste this and paste this. So that is one thing, and any other thing we can, oh sorry, not for, sorry, it will be off. Okay, let cricketer of players. Now let's see. So we see this Sachin, this Kohli. Okay, so this way it repeats in a loop. We can put it anywhere, like it is the view and the logic are separated. So that means even if I make a table, so I make a table with, say for example, cell padding is equal to 5, cell spacing is equal to 0, for example. Okay, and say border, just a rough table I'm making. Oh, sorry, my keyboard. Okay, and I say border is equal to 1. Okay, and then slash table. Okay, and then heading I can take t head slash t head, and since this table I will make 2 columns, that is th is equal to say name. Okay, then I will say th, that is the heading of the table, say city, so this will present the heading, and then after that I'll take t body, that is the body part of the table, slash t body. Now in this I'll repeat the row. Now I'll say tr, so this row will be repeated. Okay, so in tr I'll write the same thing that I am written over here, star ng4 is equal to same thing. Let me till here. Okay, just copy this, paste it. Instead of cricketer I can take player also, not a problem, whatever. Okay, so that many times I want the row to get repeated, and then slash tr. Right, now within row I have got td, that is the column of the table. So first column will contain what? td slash td will be the first column, and again td slash td is the second column. Okay, so in the first column I will write, that is here we have taken player as the local variable, player dot name. Same way in the second td we will write, in the second column we will write player dot city. Now let's render this. See, you have got a table, so same data. So you see how clear is the separation of the data in the view. So this is the beauty of Angular. Okay, so this way we can use structural directives, and ng4 is most widely used. So this means that if you create a button, so this is left as an exercise for you. You create one button where you are adding a player, and you can just you don't have to do any DOM manipulation yourself. The Angular will take Angular framework will take care of it. You just need to push data in this array. The moment you put data in this array, so it is already binded, this array is binded to that, and again you will see that the record is being added in the table. Okay, if I push this data in this array. Okay, so you can try it out yourself. Just create a button and just push a value inside this players array. Okay, so this is left as an exercise for you. I hope you enjoyed the learning, and thanks very much for watching this video, and in the next series we will look into directives further. Have a nice day. Bye bye.